Hello, South Africa. My name is Gqeberha, and welcome to day 2 of this voter registration weekend. Today we are in the best run province in South Africa, the DA-led Western Cape, where the DA gets things done. Now, we need all South Africans to join us on our mission to rescue South Africa. We want to bring this DA difference to every corner of South Africa, from Gauteng to Limpopo, from the Northern Cape to Gauteng, but we really do need all South Africans to get involved and get on board. So please today go out to your local voting station and register to vote, or alternatively go to check.da.org.za and we will help you register to rescue South Africa. Now, for those of you following at home, please like and share this broadcast with all your friends and family, and keep up to date with the conversations using the hashtag #RegisterToVoteDA. Now, I'm joined here today by the Deputy Executive Mayor of the City of Cape Town, Eddie Andrews. Eddie, how are you feeling today? What a jam-packed day it's been so far. How are things going on the ground?
Going very well. What we've seen at the very local level at the VDs, parents are bringing their children who have just turned 18 and are now able to cast their vote at next year's provincial and national election. It's important that they do that so that we can participate. So you have a seat at the table so we can halt the state of decline that we've observed over the past 3 decades.
Now, they call Cape Town the City of Hope. Why do you think that is?
I think first and foremost, let us say we don't want to monopolize that. We definitely want to have hope across South Africa, and that's what we're hoping to demonstrate, what good, competent governance looks like and what you can achieve when there's political stability. Because we see when there are coalitions and sometimes mayors change, happen out in Johannesburg, there's no stability. You can't sustainably render services. So that's what we're trying to do here in Cape Town. We want to create a city of hope, demonstrating what can be achieved if there's a clear vision, political stability, and a competent administration to implement.
A competent administration. So, Eddie, tell me, we've seen national government failing residents of South Africa time and time again. Where we govern, such as Cape Town, what are the DA doing to step in and pick up the slack?
I think we realize in Cape Town we're fishing at times out of a pond. So we look at Eskom, we look at safety. Let's look at safety. Just recently, we've now just surpassed the 1,000 mark, where we've now appointed additional law enforcement officers on the ground. A very strong partnership with our DA colleagues at Province and the City of Cape Town. That's important. So we've deployed those officers into our high-risk areas, the top 10 in Cape Town. And we've heard by SAPS, by national government, how, of course, the stats has reduced after our intervention and our partnership with the Western Cape government. And Quena, also the other point, Eskom. Load shedding. We understand in Cape Town we're really benefiting from a lower level of load shedding. We can offer that because we have our Steenhuisen dam that offers that. We have plans in place to reduce the impact up to 4 stages right here in Cape Town. And of course, we've just not mentioned the plan, but we've also allocated budget to implement over the next 10-year period in Cape Town, where we've identified approximately 120 billion rand to look at projects that will mitigate the impact of load shedding in Cape Town and in South Africa.
That's awesome. Now, the DA often speaks about devolving powers from national government to provincial government. Can you just explain a bit more what is that about?
Local government has all the levers it requires to effect change. And let's look at public transport. Rail is an important function, so we're arguing very strongly that the devolution of rail towards the local sphere of government, and may I add a competent local sphere of government, is really important. So we're asking that the National Ministry, recognizing that we are ready and we are able and we are willing to manage at a local level rail, so that we can decentralize that function currently. Because when it's centralized somewhere up north, it is not managed sustainably, and they're not as responsive as we would like them to be. And local government, we believe, are very important and have those levers in place to effect that change and be a lot more responsive.
Now, Eddie, you are an ex-Springbok, and we saw the Bokke win the World Cup by just 1 point. Tell me, what do you think that should be as a message to South Africans that think that their vote won't count?
Quena, it definitely does count. I think we have to reflect what happened in Cape Town in 2006 when the then Mayor Helen Zille won by at least 3 votes. 3 votes. She got across the finish line. And what we've seen over the past period, that this year, this financial year, we've got a budget just over 10 billion rand, a capital program. And in 2006, we had a budget of 2.6 billion rand. Also in 2006, we had 81 DA councillors. To date, we have 134 DA councillors in the city of Cape Town. And I mention that because that's important. When you get an opportunity to govern, you can have impact, there's stability, and you can plan. And that's what we've seen over the past 2 decades in the city of Cape Town, the compound impact, and when you have the right administration to implement.
Now, we saw the Springboks showing us what we can achieve when we are united in our diversity. What's your final message for the viewers at home?
I think to every single viewer, let's think about the shared future and ask yourself the question, who lives there? Who contributes sustainably towards that shared future? And it's all of that, all of us, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're colored, Indian, it does not matter. That as a DA, we are the most most diverse party in the city of Cape Town. And we are offering that. And we are saying, look at what we're doing, not just because of our diversity, but also our track record. And let's apply your mind based on that and see how we govern well, not just what we are saying, but of course what our colleagues at national government are saying. We're the top municipality, metros that is, City of Cape Town. We've got Midvaal and also Saldanha have been performing quite well.
Now, thank you so much, Eddie. You've heard it here first from an ex-Springbok player that we can win and that we are stronger when we are united in our diversity. So please stay tuned. We'll be coming back with more interviews shortly.
In this election, only the registered have the power. If you're tired of load shedding, register to vote. If you're tired of corruption, register to vote. If you're tired of the rising cost of living, register to vote. And if you're tired of a government that's continuously working against you, register to vote. Go to check.da.org.za and let's give power to the registered.
Now, welcome back. I'm now joined by our Chief Whip in Parliament, Siviwe. Siviwe, how's today been so far? What is the mood on the ground?
Man, the mood is that of a winning political party. Since yesterday and today, we have been crisscrossing the streets of Cape Town, and mostly people are excited about being able to register. I have never, ever seen people as excited, or at least having the urgency to want to go to vote or register to vote as I've seen this weekend. And I think for me that signals a turning point. I think South Africans are realizing that there's a direct correlation between how you vote and how you live, and people are wanting to live differently. And so I'm excited to see what we are going to be able to do next year. But it's been a great mood. It's been great connecting with the people of the Western Cape. It's also been great having the endorsement of people saying, thank you for your delivery. We want you to do more. We're going to give you a mandate to do more, but we are happy with what you've done with the time we've given you.
Sure. It sounds like it is a vibe on the ground. Now, Siv, tell us about your journey into politics and why do you do what you do?
Look, I mean, it's simple. As I said to somebody on Twitter this morning, it's simple for me. I do what I do because of the future of this country. I'm I'm not somebody who's prepared to be a bystander on our future. I want to play a very active part in ensuring that we rescue South Africa, not just for us, but for our children, your children, for generations to come. This is literally that important. This is not even us overstating this. The decisions we make today are literally going to impact whether this country is able to provide jobs, make sure people don't go hungry, make sure that kids at school are able to read and write for meaning. All of these things hinge on your vote. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to be an active participant of saying to South Africans, we can change this. You've got the power to do so. Your X is literally your superpower. You can hire and fire a government of your choice, and essentially saying to South Africans, let's do it together.
Yeah, it is time to hire and fire. Now, Siv, you are our chief whip in Parliament. Can you tell South Africans a bit about the issues that the DA is driving in Parliament?
Look, one of the undeniable crises of our time, not only as a young person, but generally a crisis of our time, is the crisis of unemployment, and also now the crisis of the cost of living. The reality is that those two things for me are crucial, because the one is essentially condemning an entire generation of young people to a life of indignity, a life of essentially not being able to get into work and having the dignity to provide for their families. And the other is essentially condemning an entire generation of children, young people who are not able to put food on the table. People are literally dying of hunger. And so it's been very important for us in Parliament to say that Parliament has to be relevant to ordinary South Africans. It is not good enough to have 400 politicians simply working and doing whatever it is that they do on a daily basis if they are not addressing the issues facing South Africans the most. And so for us, we've been demanding that the time that Parliament uses has to be in direct correlation with the issues that are facing South Africans. We've got to talk about joblessness. How do we get young South Africans into work? 70% of young people unemployed is a crisis and an indictment on this government. We've got to talk about how do we get people food on their tables? How do we build a social safety net that is secure and that people can rely on? The fact that over 30 million South Africans are living in poverty, that is a crime. South Africa is not a poor country. No one in South Africa should be going to bed hungry. And so for me, those are the things that are crucial that we should be driving in Parliament. And so there are obviously other important things, but these are the things that concern South Africans the most. And if we are elected by South Africans to serve them, then the time that we spend in Parliament must be occupied by the things that occupy them.
No, South Africa, the DA is fighting for you in Parliament. Now, Siv, tell me, this is such a crucial election. What would your message be to the 14 million South Africans that are currently unregistered?
I just want to say to you, we've got two choices. One, we can allow this current government to essentially go on doing what they're doing, and essentially we can see our country going down the tubes. We can see more and more people joining the unemployment queues. We'll see more and more people, more children dying of child hunger. We will see the dilapidation of health facilities. We will see people, our crime stats rising. That's the choice that we have. We can either allow the status quo, or we can say, not in our name, not in our lifetime, that we are going to make a decision to register to vote, and we're going to show government and politicians that actually this country is ours. It does not belong to politicians. It belongs to South Africans. And so, you can be the people who are joining, the millions of people who are joining, who are wanting change, who are going to say we are going to make this change on the ballot box. So you've got two choices. You can either accept the load shedding, the joblessness, the poverty, the lack of safety on our streets, or you can change a government and elect a government that is going to bring about the change that we need. And I don't know about you, but I am excited about being able to have the power to hire and fire a government of my choice. I have the power to be able to essentially elect a government that will make sure that I have a job, that I'm safe, that I'm able to, own a house one day. Those are the things that are important. And so to the 14 million people who are unregistered, please remember, this was not your last opportunity. There are still opportunities to essentially register. We've also, as the Democratic Alliance, joined in to help you make sure that we assist you in helping to register. You can go on check.da.org.za so that you can see whether or not you registered correctly. It is important. It's time for country duty, man.
It is time, and very clearly the power is in the hands of the registered. Now, Siv, what would your final message be for South Africans watching at home?
My final message to you is that this is the time. We literally do not have any. This is not a drill, South Africans. This is not a drill. This is our opportunity to save our country. Let's rescue South Africa. Let's bring on a country that has a brighter future. There's so much to fight for South Africa. There's so much going on for us. There's so much that we can and should save. But we can only do that with that magic cross. That cross is your power. It is your superpower. And use it next year. But you can't use it if you do not get registered. And also remember, one last thing. It suits a government that does not work or deliver for you when you do not go to vote. So this notion that I'm going to sit at home, I'm despondent, I simply don't want to vote. Please remember that you not participating in our hard-won democracy, it suits people who are stealing your money. And so make sure that you are registered. Make sure that you are able to vote. Maswakupa Masela, it's time.
It is time. And as Siv said, South Africa, this is not a drill. Now, please stay tuned. We'll be having our final interview for the day with DA Federal Leader John Steenhuisen. We will be right back.
The next 2 days is not about politics or about politicians. The next 2 days are about the people of South Africa, because our country does not have a second to waste. Now it is time for leaders gathered here today to put aside differences of the past and focus firmly on the future. When I first announced the DA's commitment to a project like this, there were very, very many naysayers who said that this group of parties could never even reach the point of sitting around the same table. And yet, here we all are today, signing a historic and unprecedented agreement to rescue South Africa. What we've done today is to lay the foundations of a new majority in South Africa and usher in a new government that puts people ahead of politicians. Today, without any doubt, I can say that this agreement has brought hope back to South Africa. There are 27 million people in this country who did not vote in the last election. Your country needs you now, your people need you now, and this charter needs you like never before. So I'm now calling on every South African, wherever you may be, in whatever corner of this beautiful country you are, that we need your help to rescue South Africa.
Get help registering to vote at check.da.org.za. Register to rescue South Africa. Closer.
Welcome back. I'm now joined by DA Federal Leader John Steenhuisen. John, what a weekend it's been. How has today been for you?
It's been fantastic. You know, I've been in 3 of the key battleground provinces, and it's been really great to see the drive and the energy from people who are committed to change. I really get the sense on the ground that people know that this election is going to be a high-stakes election, and they're coming out to register in big numbers, and that is a good thing. Our call centres have been busy. Our offices have been working, registering people. We've been helping people outside voting stations. It has been really exciting to see the incredible energy out there. And we can only grow this energy and keep the momentum all the way into election day. I think we're going to have a crackerjack election that's going to go down in history as the time when South Africa got serious about its future.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Now, John, the DA has been very, very busy in Parliament. Can you tell us about some of the achievements that you've had over the past few years?
Well, we've had a number of key achievements. We blocked the Inspector General of Intelligence from being appointed. We've been able to put on the table private members' bills. We've been driving the cost of living issue in Parliament to bring down the cost of food. And just this week, we had a great victory in Parliament because even the ANC had to agree that the DA's plan to expand the basket of goods and the VAT basket so that you don't pay VAT on those basic food items is a good idea. We've seen our position on cadre deployment and our cadre deployment bill vindicated by the recent Harvard study that was done on South Africa. Our big fight for devolution, giving power to local municipalities and provincial governments that are capable, on rail, on policing, on harbours and ports. These are all the fights that we've been having there, making sure that we are doing the things that matter to the people at home, the things that keep them awake at night, the energy crisis, the situation with crime and criminality in the country, the fact that 80% of South Africans cannot serve their families 3 square meals a day, the growing unemployment crisis. All of these things have been the issues that the Democratic Alliance has been driving relentlessly in Parliament, using that platform as an arena of change for the country.
Thank you, John. Now, we often hear people speaking about the DA difference, but what does that actually mean, and could you give us a few examples?
Well, the DA difference is the difference between promising things, as we see a lot in the last 30 years from the governing party, and delivering things. And there's a big difference between promising and delivering. And a really good example is, remember that famous poster that went up, jobs, jobs, jobs? What has the ANC done? They've destroyed jobs. What has the DA done? We've grown jobs. 300,000 jobs in the Western Cape in the last year alone. The city of Cape Town, more jobs created in the city of Cape Town than every other metro put together. So if you're worried about jobs and the economy, we're not making you promises, we're showing you the DA difference. Trust us with your vote and we will bring that difference to you at home. If you really are concerned about the future of the country, don't waste your vote on parties that make promises. Look for a party like the DA that has a track record of getting things done and is now on a determined mission to rescue South Africa. We want to bring the 300,000 jobs we've created in the Western Cape. We want to be creating that and so much more in Gauteng, in KwaZulu-Natal, in the Eastern Cape, in the Northern Cape, in Mpumalanga, in Limpopo. We can do all of these things, but people have got to vote to put a government in place that's going to make these things a reality in your town, your city, your province, and your country.
Now, John, the DA is on a mission to rescue South Africa from the failings of the ANC national government. What would a DA national government do differently?
We'll do so much differently, and we'll start by making sure that the very ethos of government is servant leadership. Far too much in this country, we've got a government that believes the people are there to serve them, that we must pay for their mansions, their fancy cars, the 24,000 Rand a head meals in the presidential jet. That's not how it works. Government and politicians should be working for the people, and we will bring that servant leadership to bear in more provinces and nationally. Secondly, we will make the reforms required to fix the economy. We will devolve power immediately to competent provinces and local governments on things like policing and public transport systems. We'll fix the education system that's currently holding our children back from getting employment in South Africa and around the world. We'll be able to ensure that public health care is up to standard, so you're treated with dignity when you attend a public health care clinic or hospital. We will make sure that we are doing the things required to get the economy working. And most importantly, we won't be stealing your money. We'll be taking the money that we get from hard-working taxpayers and spending it on infrastructure, on the framework that you require to be able to grow an economy, to create jobs, and to get South Africa moving forward again. That's what I talk about when I say rescuing South Africa, and that's what I mean by the DA difference.
Sure. Now, after the breaking news that was released yesterday about the DA's polling, it's clear that we've never been closer to a DA national government before. What can people do to go and get registered? How can people go out and get registered?
We are so close. I can smell that majority even. I can see it coming next year after the election, and I'm so excited about it. But the thing is, we won't be able to do it on our own. We need your help. We need you at home to become the heroes in the story of the rescue mission to save South Africa. And that means you've got to be registered and you've got to come out and vote on election day, and you've got to vote for a party like the DA that has a track record of delivery, whose values and principles you can trust, and who have got a great promise of a better South Africa. We want to leave the division behind. We want to leave poverty behind. We want to leave unemployment behind. And we want to start writing an exciting new chapter for our country that involves all of you, because all of us working together will get us over that mark next year. The DA stands ready to work shoulder to shoulder with each and every one of you to bring the change and to make our country the wonderful place that we know it can be, if only it had a government that was working with the people, not against them.
Thank you so much for that, John. South Africa, it has been an amazing 2 days. Remember that it's not too late to go out and get registered. Registration centers close at 5 p.m. Just take your green ID book or smart card and go and get registered to vote. We want to bring the DA difference to every corner of South Africa, but we can only do it with you. You need to use the most powerful weapon that you have against this failing ANC government, and that is your vote. So go out and get registered. South Africa, we have such a beautiful country, and I've got to see it over the past few days, whether it be our hopeful, friendly citizens or mighty Springboks. But the ANC government is failing us. And so we need to register to vote, to end load shedding, to end water shedding. We need to register to vote so that we can implement ANC shedding. So South Africa, please stay hopeful. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Get help registering to vote online. Visit check.da.org.za. All you need is your ID. Enter your personal details and submit. Check your cell phone for your unique link and click. If you need to register, you will be directed to the IEC's website. Select Register to vote now. Enter your personal details. Upload a photo of your green barcoded ID or your smart ID card by selecting Browse to find the photo. You will receive a message confirming your voter registration within 24 hours. Be part of the mission to rescue South Africa in election 2024. But if you are voting for the first time, or if you've moved since you last voted, you need to register correctly to vote in 2024. Remember, you can only vote at the voting station at which you are registered. Take up your power and skip the queue. Visit check.da.org.za and get help with your voter registration.
Thanks for watching. All across our beautiful country, people are joining forces to elect the new government that can rescue South Africa, help our rescue mission, and register to vote. Get help registering online now at check.da.org.za. Let's rescue South Africa.